Roth conversions are getting all the buzz right now, but they might be a huge mistake for you if you execute them. And I'll have certain people reach out and be like, I already did a Roth conversion. It's pretty awesome. My nephew now thinks I'm super cool. And then I'll say, I wish you did nothing at all. And they're like, why? I thought it made sense for my plan. I go, oh, you did a great Roth conversion, but you could have retired earlier or spent more money. So what's more important to you? And then they see and they go, oh, maybe I did over optimize. There's other people that no matter how many trips they take, no matter how early they retire, Roth conversions still make sense. So I find generally if you're watching these videos and you have a good amount of your portfolio in a 401k or IRA, so all pre-tax or majority pre-tax, and you're thinking, should I do conversions? People are often conversion happy. They want to do a conversion, but first they should step back and ask themselves those two questions. Can I retire earlier or can I spend more? I'm going to show you a sample case study so you can see for yourself what makes sense. Let's hop right in. So this is the couple we're looking at today. They have a net worth of about $5.5 million or so. In terms of liquid investments, they have $3.8 million. They have $2 million in a superhero account that they have inherited. And then they have a 401k worth $1.4 million, a Roth with $250, and an HSA of $50,000. So what often happens is people will click in this software, which by the way, you can all have access to. They'll click this tax tab. And if you look at this tax tab, it might throw out a number like you're going to see here. $1.4 million more dollars. Who doesn't want that? That's significant. So what the software is saying is here's someone who's saved and invested really well. This person's 46 years old. They're going to keep working and retire at 56. From 56 to 75, what the software is saying is this green here is Roth conversions. Let's do a little bit of Roth conversions because it's going to add $1.4 million more dollars. So many of you are hopefully following along in terms of your own strategy. You're thinking, yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Maybe I retire early, then I'm in a low tax bracket. I do those Roth conversions, pay taxes at 10, 12, 22%, because if I don't, in the future, I'm going to be in like a huge tax bracket. So I want to take advantage of that tax arbitrage. I'm going to show you why you got to be very careful about that because it is a permanent shift. And hopefully in the next 5 minutes, you have clarity on whether you should or should not do it. As a reminder, my name is Ari Taublieb. I'm a certified financial planner, host of the Early Retirement Podcast, and Chief Growth Officer. I like to explain Roth conversions like eating cauliflower. Now, if you don't like cauliflower, you can choose a different vegetable, Brussels sprouts or lima beans or whatever you want. I don't know if lima beans is a vegetable, but regardless, I'll say doing a Roth conversion is like eating a little cauliflower. It's not fun to eat a little cauliflower, but if you do eat your vegetables, you're likely to live longer, and then you can have more pasta, steak, and all the good stuff. If you are currently going, I just don't want to eat any cauliflower, which I'll have people say to me, I'll go, great. You can avoid it, but then in the future, you're going to be forced to eat a ton of cauliflower when you don't want it. That's when you've got, your ultimate desire because you've invested well to go spend and live your best life, but you're having to eat cauliflower on these trips to Italy and Australia. You don't want to do that. And cauliflower, that's your big tax bomb. Okay. So what I'm trying to do is say, what can we do to optimize your situation? It's a silly example, but hopefully it connects. So here's what we're going to look at here. What we're going to look at is this slider. Now, this is a tool you can use. So if you want to play around with this after this video or during, you can. You can see here, this is a slider. So what the software is saying is if this person, which I'm going to show you in just a second, more about their situation and why they should not potentially do this. Right now, you can see if they fill up the 12% bracket, it's going to add about $1.5 million more tax adjusted ending dollars. What if I scroll to 22%? You think it's going to look better or worse? Well, when I go ahead and refresh that, what you see here is it's still adding value, but it's adding way less. Now it says there's $81,000 more dollars. So it's still saying, I'm glad you did it, but it's not saying it's nearly as optimal as $1.5 million, obviously. What if I go out further? What if I go, hey, what if we fill up the 24% bracket? Well, now it's saying it's actually better to do nothing at all. It's actually going to result in $500,000 fewer dollars to do Roth conversions. And if I go out to the 32% bracket, you can see here, it's showing 2.2 million fewer dollars. So in this example, the green is the conversions. So the software is saying, please don't do conversions now because you're making a healthy income and you're going to, do it for a short period of years, paying way too much in taxes. It's going to be better that you do nothing. So I have one client that reached out and they know who they are, but I'm not going to say their name. And they had said, oh, I screwed up. I didn't do Roth conversions. And I said, okay, why do you feel you screwed up? And they go, I just feel like during certain years of my working years, I could have done it. I go, did you ever log into your account, look at, your portfolio balance? They go, yeah, all the time. But No tax strategy. I wasn't really talking about that. I wasn't thinking about that. I didn't really know where to look. I said, it's a good thing because I think you're really smart and maybe too smart, because if you did try to do this thing to try to take advantage of optimal timing, it may have resulted in less dollars. And then I went on to show them a study that showed some of the best investors forgot their passwords. And it's true, because you're less likely to tinker around with things to try to optimize your situation. If you're not a professional, the example I'll share, and I'm always very nice to my clients about it, but I had someone reach out and say, I'm like the best investor ever. That's why I've got $5-6 million now. I mean, I'm big shot. I was like, no, you have done really well. Like, you deserve a kudos here. But what you're saying is the equivalent of being like, I am a mechanic because I know how to put gas in my car. Like, that does not make you a mechanic. So what we need to make sure we're doing is taking a step back and going, okay, what do we really know and what are we really good at, and what can we learn, and be, very honest with ourselves. And I'm the first person to be like, guys, imagine I'm a soccer player. I do not know how to do surgery. When I got hurt on my hip, I was never going to be like, I think maybe I could try this. Like, I'm going to the best people. And I'm not just taking their word for it. I'm like, let me see examples. Let me see the reasoning. And then if it makes sense, I'm happy to, of course, have the procedure. I hope that's how you guys look at this. So if I go back to my profile page here, once again, this is their situation. They've got $3.8 million. And what they want to know is these Roth conversions. Should we do them? Does it make sense? Because what I showed you already is it could make sense. This is their current plan. So they've got $4 million liquid dollars. They're on track for $21 million. They want to retire at 57. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I think you guys are going to love this. When I saw this for the first time, I was like, oh my gosh, why don't they tell me this day one of CFP training? So that was how many years ago now. But let's go back to 12%, because right now the software is calculating the optimal thing for them is wait till you retire, fill up the 12% bracket, and you'll have $1.5 million more dollars. If this follows so far, please let me know in the comments below, because I make all these videos for you guys, hoping they do help. Now, I'm not going to change anything. You guys are with me on the screen. You can see I put very minimal edits on my videos. If I go back here and I switch one thing here, just their spending, to $15,000 a month, that's a lot. Okay, I just shifted their spending by $60,000 a year. Instead of having 21 million, there's still 14 million. So that's still significant. What if I go out further? What if I double their expenses? $20,000 a month. Guys, that's $240,000 tax-free dollars. Like, you're taking after taxes. That's significant. I mean, try spending $240,000 a year. A lot of our clients can, but a lot of you are like, yeah, that'd be tough even for me. So here they are. They're still okay. There's $6 million at the end, but there's 15 million fewer dollars. Why am I showing you this? Watch what happens when I click the tax tab. Remember, guys, I didn't change anything else. You saw me, okay? Do you remember what it said before here? It said, what did it say? 1.4 million more dollars. Now it says 228,000 fewer dollars. What just happened? Well, what happened is the software was going, hey, if you guys don't spend enough money, you're going to have these big tax expenses in the future called required distributions. When at 75, you're going to be forced to take out more than you'll ever need. What the software is now saying is, oh no, you're spending 20,000 a month instead of 10 a month. You're still on track. You're not going to die and run out of money. But these Roth conversions, they're not really valuable for you anymore because you're just spending it. So there's less dollars that are going to be a tax issue. So don't make the mistake of just spending for the sake of spending, but make sure you're being intentional here, because some of you are like, okay, well, 15,000 a month is my sweet spot. Awesome. Let's go update that. Let's see what it says here. So 15,000 a month. Let's go to the tax tab. What does it say? Well, now it's saying, oh, that $1.5 million? Yeah, you should certainly still be doing that. But I would argue we haven't gone deep enough, because the two things we need to ask ourselves, do we want to spend more or retire earlier? So let's say we're going to retire earlier. Let's switch this to 50. 50 is when this person's retiring. Remember, they're 46 today. Okay, well, now there's 11 million fewer dollars, but they're still okay. So what have I done? All I've done is I've decreased their retirement by 7 years, and I've increased their spending from 10 to 15,000 a month. And now we're looking at the tax strategy tab, and this might be more of the sweet spot. Okay, there's 500,000 more dollars by doing these Roth conversions. The beauty of retiring early is you now have a longer tax window. So you can now see there's way more green. There's a longer length of time when you can execute these conversions. When you retire early, you have a larger tax window. So you can do more of these cool strategies. So there's cases where someone will come to me and say, yeah, I don't know, I'm hesitant to retire early. I go, really? It's going to put you in a better financial position. They go, that doesn't sound right, because if I make more money and I pay taxes, I still end up with more money. I go, That would be true if you didn't have most of your money in a 401k that's all going to get taxed what I call up the wazoo, in which case you retiring earlier gives me more opportunity to take advantage of tax brackets and grow your money way more. So it's not every case. Sometimes there's cases where I go, you're right. You work 3-4 more years, that's going to be way more valuable. But there's other cases where I'm like, hey, you've already done a great job saving and investing. It's now the tax strategy and the estate planning and the insurance and the withdrawals. That's going to add way more value than you just continuing to work. Plus, now you don't have to work. So there's added benefits, obviously. So this is just an example. Hopefully you can see there's times when it makes sense to do this, and there's times when it doesn't. What you should do is build a custom strategy. That's what we help our clients do with our holistic financial planning method. If this is what you're interested in, you can go ahead to our website, rootfinancial.com, or the description of this video. And if you want to use the software I used today, you can go ahead and get that as well. And that's it for this video. See you guys next time.